what they do here. First and goal. Rodgers hangs in the pocket, throwing into a lot of traffic, and it's caught for the touchdown by.
And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod. Follow the guys. Jay is at UPJ33. Dave is at Steak and Cheese. And the fantasy wonder man himself, Dylan, is at DylanBusby1. Email all your questions and comments to us at firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com, and you will make the show live during our mailbag segment. Again, that's firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com. And welcome, everybody, to another live edition of the First and Goal Packers postgame show with me, your founder and producer, Jay Andrews in the UP. And as always, down in Georgia, your host with the most, it's Dave.
Woo! Woo! Big Packers win today, folks. Oh, my God.
The music plays. Celebrate, man.
Oh, I was already celebrating earlier. I wish I had some beer.
The playoffs?
Oh, yeah. The playoffs. Oh, we'll get to that. Man, I tell you what. The Rams got schmammered by Dallas. And you know what? That was the only time I was rooting for the Cowboys like this much just to come out. And they schmammered the Rams. That was a gift. My birthday was the 9th. This was a belated birthday gift from the Dallas Cowboys. So thank you, Jerry, for doing that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Playoffs, man. First Packers coach ever to make playoffs in the first year. I'm just sitting here watching Jay dancing, folks. I don't know how long this music goes when I'm talking.
Oh, I'm happy. It was fun to watch. I'm dancing. You're damn right. It's a celebration.
Well, if someone didn't have any bad beer.
That dude. Beer and a half, man.
Did you
and
grab
I
like
drank
a 4-year-old beer that was just stuck in the back of the fridge?
Like it was just a random one in the fridge. It was just didn't taste right, and I got about halfway through it and ate some cheese, and oh my God, it made me sick.
It was like that one that got shuffled around through like the last 4 years in the back of the fridge, and then just finally got moved up front, and you grabbed it.
No, I'm blaming the brewery on that one. They packaged a bad beer in my 24-pack because it was the same beer out of all of them. Oh.
Contact Keystone. Contact Keystone, whoever makes Keystone. I believe it's Miller. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, contact Miller and be like, hey, I just had the most horrible beer fresh from your pack, and it made me throw up after half a beer. And tell them to watch you get like a whole couple free packs of beer.
Dude, I don't know. I might not be drinking beer for a while.
Anyways, folks, what we were saying during the music was playing, first ever Packers head coach in their first year to lead them to the playoffs. 2 and 11 wins. Never done before. LaFleur just did both in 1 week.
Oh, Matt LaFleur, you can't touch this. Nope. You know why? Because they said he couldn't do it.
Yeah, all offseason long, people laughed at Jay and I. People told us that we were just homers. We weren't realistic. Everyone kept saying, well, yeah, I can see like 10-6, or I can see
9-7.
Yeah, 9-7 and 8-8. If it doesn't go.
Maybe making the playoffs if it falls right at 9-7. But 10-6 is the best case scenario. No playoffs though.
Yep. Yeah, and then people kept laughing at us and telling us we're nuts. Guess what? We're standing here proudly, arms crossed, saying, told you, we're not just homers. We know what we're talking about. Also, folks, I know it's a Packers podcast, but The Bills just intercepted Pittsburgh in the end zone, under 2 minutes left, with a 7-point lead. It looks like Pittsburgh has some timeouts left, though, but Bills might have, if they win this, Jay, I believe they clinch their another playoff berth.
That would be awesome. Seeing the Bills in the playoffs this year would be really fun. And they're actually a legitimate threat, unlike when the Tyrod Taylor 2 years ago.
Oh, no.
It was a nice story, but you knew they were going to get smoked.
They have the Bengals to beat the Ravens, remember? Like, they had that 4th and 26 miracle play, and they had to
you knew that year they weren't going anywhere. Anyway, let's get to the Packers game, man. I love the
I'm sorry. I'm from New York. I got a soft spot for Buffalo.
We got to mention them, but you know what? There's so much great shit to get into.
Oh, dude, definitely. You know what? Diving right into it, I got to ask right off the bat. Who is your, just right off the bat and right hot off the press, who is your MVP for the Packers game?
I'm giving it to Aaron Rodgers. I really am. He stuck to the game plan. He threw the ball away. He moved up. He delivered the ball. And honestly, this score would have been a lot more lopsided if his receivers would have hung on to balls that were perfectly placed.
If he has missed one, Geronimo had 2, Adams had 3.
I'm just saying, like, look, for all the criticism and all the stuff I have to say, this team does have an identity. They found it, and Rodgers stuck to it and believed in it, and there is no better time than Week 15 when you have 3 games left to start playing within and being consistent. And I know everybody's going to say that, oh, they punt. It's okay to punt. Like, if you read my article a couple weeks ago, the whole point of what I had to say has nothing to do with scoring every time, or it's about just consistency on offense. For me, is just not going 3 and out every time. It is okay to go 7, 8, 10 plays and punt.
I mean, as long as you're eating time off the clock. And the thing is, this offense is based around.
Well, yeah, sorry to cut you off, Dave. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say this offense is based around the running game. And if you could get 20 carries from your running game in this offense, it can function off the play action. And it was. I mean, literally, the runs would get, like, at the line of scrimmage or 1 yard, and the next play action, they'd roll out and they'd get the pass. And it'd be in the flat, or it'd be a slant. It would be these quick passes that just Rodgers can get off. And you know what, Jay? That's something me and you nitpicked on him these past couple weeks. Guess what? He stuck to the game plan. If there was a pass there, he took it. Yeah, there was a run he probably should have taken, but that's one play. Out of how many plays today, he missed one. The others, I'm sorry, the receivers didn't help him out at all. Adams even had 3 drops. It was just one of those ugly games by the wide receivers. But guess what? Aaron Jones stepped up. You don't need to be a superstar in the passing game every week for Aaron Rodgers if you have Aaron Jones getting 2 TDs a week. So
No, they had balance. They stuck to the run.
No,
and here's
what I'm saying is they don't have
to
put pressure on him doing it. That's what people don't realize.
No, the pressure is off. Look, you can tell with Aaron Rodgers, just his body language, it's different this year. Even when it's ugly and it's not going all good, even when he's frustrated, it's short frustration, and he goes to the sideline, and he has a coach that he goes and he talks to. Like, I'm getting a little irritated with the fact that they won't show more of the sideline with the interaction between these two.
Because of course not.
Right. Because
they chest bumped today in reaction to a touchdown. They showed one thing of that, but yet they won't show the other two touchdown celebrations. I'm talking
about the frustrated moments when he comes off and he's going over there and LaFleur goes over and talks to him, and you can see his body language of frustration melt away.
Because it doesn't help out the narrative of the media today.
Because his coach and him have a good relationship, and he can go over there and they communicate. And he's like, okay, this didn't work. What did you see? What can we do next? And they come back, and again, I'm not saying they come back and they score a touchdown on the next drive. It's consistent production regardless. There's three ways every drive should end in a coach's opinion. And all 3 ways have a kick. Field goal, extra point, punt. That's how they would prefer to end every drive, and not going 3 and out. Other than, as long as you're not going 3 and out and you end in one of those 3 kicks, an offensive coordinator, they're good. They're happy. There's no turnover. There was some production. There's something to build off of, even if you didn't score, and you gave your defense a rest. Like, this defense, Kenny Clark's back, people.
And you
like,
just
he's my
narrated right
MVP.
into my MVP pick. Kenny frickin' Clark, people. Kenny Clark, 4.5 sacks in 3 games. 3 tackles for losses. Today, he had 2 sacks, 8 tackles as a interior defensive lineman, Jay. 8 tackles. That's something like a middle linebacker would put up.
It was awesome.
And the thing is, he was everywhere in that backfield. Mitch, yeah, he didn't get blown up a lot on sacks, but you know what? He was still back there, and Clark had 2 of them, and the pressure rate he had is ridiculous. I just think Clark is the MVP. If I had to pick an offensive MVP, if I had to pick an offensive MVP, man, you know what? First time the Packers and Bears met, we had 5 sacks given up to this tough Bears defense. You know who my MVP for my offense is? The guy we told Austin about, Elgton frickin' Jenkins.
I told him it was going to make a difference. Rodgers. I told him, dude.
Akeem Hicks had 2 late hits on Rodgers, was never called either. He had a second action. So you remember the first one early in the game where he was going through, had his hand on him, and then grabbed him and then threw him to the ground after? Yeah, no call. Ball was thrown 3 to 5 seconds.
But Rodgers gets all the calls.
Oh, God, no. Of course not. But yeah, man, Elgton Jenkins would be my offensive MVP because he had Nick Williams across from him. He had Elgton Jenkins. Elgton Jenkins had Nick Williams. He had Akeem Hicks rotating in and out and didn't give up a QB hit or a sack. The guy is an absolute stud. He's a blue chipper guard. I know you and Dylan were arguing about how guards are exchangeable and how you need to find a good set of guards. No, man, Elgton Jenkins is a blue chip guard. He is a guy that will be there for the next 10 years.
No, look, he can have his opinion. That's great, but
we love Dylan.
It's just wrong because fundamentally it's wrong about how football is played, has been played for the last 100 years, and it will be continued to be played if they don't drastically change everything into flag football. If football is played this way, it's going to stay this way. The trenches, the defensive and offensive lines are the beginning and of all teams that are successful. If you don't have a good defensive line or offensive line, you basically have a team that is going to slowly bleed to death. Period. You can have all the show muscles in the world, but basically your heart don't pump right, and you're going to end up dying from, a heart attack at some point. It just is what it is, man. Look at the Browns. And look, if you don't believe me,
speaking of a horrible game.
If you don't believe me, look at the Browns. They traded one of the best interior guards in the league on their team away and went and got toys on the edge, and they can't use them. It doesn't matter. They can't keep the guys protected in the backfield consistently enough. You're telling me that you honestly believe your team is going to be successful when you trade Justin McCray and swap out freaking Zeitler for Justin McCray. Come on. That is a GM being overly cocky. That's what happened. And Dorsey is a very cocky bravado guy, and everybody loves him, but all these moves on paper look great, but what has it got him? He traded
the core guys instead of the flash players, and the flash players came in, you lost your core guys. That's what happened. Dorsey wanted the flash. And everyone kept saying for the Packers, how many years after he was with the Chiefs, the Browns, oh, no, man, we should have kept